everybody. Welcome to this fifth episode of Learn with Simple webinar series. In this series, our focus is purely on D2C brands. And in today's session, we are talking about the right pricing and promotion strategies for D2C brands. And for this, joining us today is Pankaj Garg of Daily Objects, Ishendra Agarwal of Jiva, Siddhant Madan of Master Chow, and Nitya Sharma, co-founder and CEO of Simple. Looking forward to an exciting session. Over to you, Nitya.
Awesome. Thanks, Bushra. Welcome, everyone. Excited to have this conversation. And Ishendra, Pankaj, and Siddhant, welcome to the panel. Very much looking forward to this conversation. Very quickly, I would love for you to just introduce yourself to the audience. And before we do that, I just want to quickly do a quick background on my relationship with pricing. So one of the, I've been running Simple for a good 7 years now. And one thing I've learned is pricing, we all think about pricing very logically when we are product managers, business people. But the reality of pricing is very lot more psychological than anything real. It's really has deep roots in behavioral economics and how people think about transparency and fairness and so on. And one of my favorite examples of how illogical we all as consumers are oftentimes about pricing or price of something is, imagine this, most of us spend, let's say 300 rupees each, maybe 10 times a month or even more on a coffee outside, right? A Starbucks coffee. So we spend 300 rupees, 10, 20, 30 times a month on coffee. And we do it all the time without even thinking about it. But imagine WhatsApp charging, 50 rupees a month for you to use WhatsApp, right? We all know WhatsApp is so valuable, right? We talk about it and we have calls. It's like integral part of life. But most people will stop using WhatsApp the moment they charge something like that, right? And yet the same people will spend this much money on coffee and restaurants and so on, right? And this goes to the point that pricing is so emotional, so behavioral, and very important part of any business and growth strategy, right? So, I just want to give my comments there. But yeah, I think let's just start with quick backgrounds of all of you. Let's start with Pankaj. Pankaj, just tell us a little bit about you and a little bit about the journey you've taken so far with Daily Object.
Thanks, Nitya. Thanks for writing this. In a brief, I come from Rajasthan. I did my master in computers. I started my enterprise journey 10 years back as a Daily Objects. Idea is to have a lifestyle accessory brand. So when we see as 10 years back, there's no concept of D2C, this generally came up last 3-4 years back. So, and we see 10 years back, not too much online also, Amazon and Flipkart was major there. And if you want to buy accessories, I say it's a very difficult process. You can buy camera, phone, TV nearby your market and all, a lot of brands available, but you won't buy good accessories, it's still you have to go proper market and all. So when we saw one gap there, and second, mostly products when we see accessory also is very functional, black and white. I wanted to use how can we make it beautiful, good aesthetic, and good quality. So that's how the idea came. Last 10 years, lots of ups and downs. Now journey is fantastic. Last couple of 3 years, we're growing 100% year in year. We are profitable, PAT positive. 90% products are made in India, and we believe on this story. And original designs from research to designing to manufacturing to marketing, content creation, we build everything in-house. And we're shipping more around 1 lakh products a month. Major sales come from my 70% sales come from my own platform. Yeah, there we are in a brief about Daily Objects. Yeah, we're happy to answer other questions.
Awesome, Pankaj. Thanks for that introduction. Ishendra, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Nitya. Hey guys, I come from Agra. And I did my bachelor's and master's from IIT Kanpur in electrical engineering, where I worked in a couple of startups of my own. Pretty much I tried multiple spaces before starting consumer space, where my first venture was into social networking, where we started Hidden Chat, which was an anonymous social networking application. Then I've also, tried the media space. Uh, Started a youth media magazine. Then, we tried a B2B space. So actually, we tried first two startups, then work out. Then I joined Boston Consulting Group, worked there as a management consultant for about 2 years, largely for all the large consumer conglomerates like Aditya Birla, Pepsi, etc. Uh, and then post that, I also tried a small B2B startup. Uh, Had some of my learnings over there related to credit, etc. problems. Then, I joined Guild Capital, which is an early stage venture capital firm. Worked there for about 6 months to get a deeper understanding of the startup ecosystem before starting Jiva. So Jiva, the main vision behind starting Jiva was that if you look at the jewelry market in India, it is huge. Almost, all women wear jewelry, either daily or in office or parties or in multiple occasions, right? But if you look at the fine jewelry in market in India, all the fine jewelry in India starts from 20,000 plus price range, which is where all the gold and diamond jewelry comes in. There is no option for a woman in India to buy jewelry at a much accessible price range, where women can buy multiple pieces and wear different pieces with different outfits. The traditional jewelry brands that were designed in India were more, designed to keep that perspective in mind that you buy jewelry for an investment. But currently, no woman wants to buy gold for, gold jewelry for investment. For that, you have ETFs, gold bonds, etc., etc. All women wants to buy jewelry, to wear it with their outfits. So that was the whole thesis behind starting Jiva. Started 3.5 years before. We've come a long way. We're one of the largest online. We have more than 1.5 lakh people who visit our website and mobile app on a daily basis. We are the largest on marketplaces. We are also there in multiple offline formats, where we have around 35 exclusive stores of ours. We are there in about 29 store-in-store counters with Shoppers Stop, Pantaloons, Reliance. And we are on track to open 20 more stores of our own. So that's a short summary about Jiva and about myself.
Awesome, Ishindra.
Super.
Siddhant, would love to learn a little bit about you and your journey with Master Chow so far.
Super. Hey guys, happy to be with you. Happy to share some insights that I'm sure all of us have learned over the last years. I'm Siddhant. I come from Delhi. I did a master's in finance and entrepreneurship. I enrolled for a master's in international management, and very soon I realized that I really want to start something of my own. And once I completed my master's, I moved back to India. I was very fascinated by the QSR, the quick service restaurant scene. There was no Wow Momo when we started. I think Wow Momo was 1 year old, and we found a massive gap, or we thought we found a gap in the Chinese segment, right? Where you had Yo China, or you had a very fancy fine dining hotel, especially in India. So there was nothing that was, I would say, quick, healthy, wholesome. The people that were operating want bringing newer flavors in, and having traveled quite a bit, I realized we could tap that market. Vidur, who's my co-founder, we started with a chain of restaurants called Walk Me. We in Delhi NCR, at one point we had 8 locations pre-pandemic. Throughout and this is from 2016 to 2020. Throughout these 4 years, we got a lot of customer insight. Me and Vidur used to manage the stores ourselves. We didn't have a manager. We used to actually go buy vegetables from vendors. We used to go buy meat. So we learned everything from scratch and had a lot of insights coming from the customers, where they all wanted a better option. And when the pandemic hit, we unfortunately had to shut down most of our restaurants. But surprisingly, a lot of our customers started calling us and asking us for the sauce, and we made the sauces from scratch from day one. And that's where we pivoted to Master Chow. This happened June 20. We were doing around 10 orders a day. Now, roughly, we moved into a larger manufacturing unit. We're producing close to 1,500 bottles of sauces a day. Around 15 tons of noodles are consumed. We're growing, like Pankaj, 100% year on year. We're hopeful that very soon, over the next 3 years, if you're cooking Asian, Chinese, Japanese, Korean food at home, hopefully you'll think about Master Chow. So that's our plan.
Awesome. Thanks, guys, for that background. And I think the interesting thing is we have a very diverse sort of businesses, right? From sort of daily objects where we are talking about daily objects, obviously, to Jiva, which is fashion jewelry, and then of course food, and yet you all share the same consumer, right? The same person probably buys all these things. So let's get into the pricing itself. Pankaj, let's start with you. You've been in this business for close to 10 years, right? And just like walk us through this topic of pricing, right? You must have started somewhere and over 10 years learned a bunch of things and changed your prices. How did you start? Where are you right now? And in this journey, what are your insights?
Sure. Just to add, like when we started the conversation of Instagram, I mean the WhatsApp, and so it's I mean like how this Elon Musk have started $8 for the blue tick and all, and a lot of outages happen. So the problem is here is not price; it's about perception, because this has started as a free, like Twitter or Facebook and Google. Like suppose Gmail started charging something. So because everybody's mind is free, the suddenly like you charge anything, then obviously people are going to outrage. It's like a sudden, like suddenly like why charge? Like you're going to temple, like something like you're charging for, So that's the main difference when I see take example of social and all. See for daily objects, like we know like India is very price sensitive. You hear every day and all, very competitive and all. So most important to when we working the price, you should know what is your target customer, what is the product differentiation, how you see your brand, how you vision your company, your brand over the years and all. And that's most important. Instead of just jumping on, competitive pricing and all. So first create a product where customer can pay for that. That's very, very important. So maybe I can put pricing 10,000, but that price is justified to that product and service and experience which I'm offering. So that's how I see. So my if you see my daily objects as a customer, it's most mass premium. I would say customer who own more than 25,000 rupees smartphone. When I see this customer like OnePlus or Samsung and all, how much they can spend, what kind of a taste they have and all. That's how I put pricing. And second is most important is company vision also, like how aggressive they want to go. Sometimes like they want to capture market, then want to become a profitable. For us, we want to become a profitable for first day, So then a unit economics also comes in a picture. Every order you making and all, and then you do a lot of A/B testing, hit and try. Like sometimes you're not sure what's going to work and all. Different pricing level of 3-layer pricing or 4-level pricing also, entry level, mid level, high level. So as you said, it's all not a number, it's a psychology, and trying every day. Still we are learning whenever we launch any product and all. So that's for the strategy, Nitya.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it well. Pricing is as much perception as affordability, right? And I think there is if you think about water, right? The same water is for free in a on your RO on your tap, and is like whatever 100 rupees or 50 rupees in a bottle in some store, and then in a hotel, if you want bottled water, it might be 200 rupees, and then a mini bar of a hotel, it might be 500 rupees, right? And it's basically the same water. And how you position that water, people pay for it, right? And
the mindset is ready to pay. Like the mindset is ready. Okay, I questioning is why is it free? Flight you can't pay. You always it should be free. So that's mind how work when we
totally. Ishindra, what are you seeing? I guess the difference between daily object and Jiva would be that daily object is, as the name suggests, daily object. It's like more utility things that people need, a laptop bag or sort of like a case. And obviously people want a stylish thing because they're taking it out and something cool, but it's still a utility, right? Whereas sort of jewelry is not a utility at all. No one needs it, but we still put it on as fashion. And there is probably some signaling value that, whatever I'm wearing is probably signals a status. What have you seen in this category, vis-a-vis pricing and all this conversation we are having about how you price the product? What are the mistakes you made in the early days, and what are your learnings?
So essentially, so if you look at the jewelry, right, the patterns are very, very much similar to what you get in clothing, essentially. So if you ask any women how much jewelry is sufficient for her, the answer would be none, right? You can have as much jewelry as you want. You want to wear different jewelry with different outfits. It's not something which is a necessity, but something which is a must-have for a woman, right? That can be a good to have for men, but it's a must-have for a woman. But in this category, what we have realized for pricing, in fact, so I'll just walk you through our strategy for pricing and some of our learnings in our during our journey. So, couple of things that we saw multiple other people doing not well, and in fact, we also did wrong is we initially kept our gross margins in mind that we want to have minimum these gross margins, and then we priced our product accordingly. But what I realized in the journey is your pricing essentially is a reflection of number one, the audience that you're trying to target. So for example, if a silver jewelry, I start selling a piece which we sell for 2000 right now at about 8000 rupees, then I'm not targeting a mass audience, right? Or mass premium audience. Then I'm targeting a very small subset of a luxury audience. Who would only prefer to buy our jewelry because their objectives of buying that jewelry would be more towards the design aspiration, that it's a unique piece, it's something that is nowhere available, and that is very uniquely casted for me, versus if we were to price at the price range at which we are, which is on the mass affordable slash slightly on the premium side, then the messaging that we are giving to the market is that, hey, you can buy a jewelry at a price at which you will get any other jewelry in the market, but you're getting these benefits. So essentially your TAM increases significantly. So one big function of pricing is essentially your TAM, right? So for example, you quoted about the water bottle, right? And that's a perfect example. So there is Bisleri that you get for 15-20 rupees. Then there is this Himalayan that you get for 60-100 rupees. And then there is a tap water, right? And if you're creating a product which you want almost, all the people to pick up, then you would keep your pricing on the Bisleri range. But if you're keeping a product only for tier one niche cafes or niche restaurants, etc., then you would price it at a 60 to 100 rupee price bracket. So one thing that we have realized is it totally depends on the audience that you're targeting for the pricing. And the second thing that we have come across in our journey is when you're starting a brand, the first and the foremost, very, very important thing is to establish a PMF first, right? And have a slight flexibility on the pricing. Where, if you are, let's say, launching a product, you first need to identify, what is that perfect price at which that product sells really well. Mm-hmm. And then post that, once you identify that perfect price, you can do the backward integration and figure out how much marketing spend should I do, how much should I spend on overheads, etc., etc. And that is where we have been very experimental when we launched Jiva, that we tried to launch our products at multiple price ranges, and first tried to test the market that the price at which most of the people were not feeling that they are getting this for expensive price. What we wanted our consumers to feel is the price at which that they are paying is very much accessible, something which is the perfect value for money, because India is a value market, right? So that was our strategy, that we were first very much open on the pricing, but tried to establish the PMF. And then once we got the PMF, then we started pushing the pricing boundaries slightly upwards to test what's the best pricing that we can get for this particular product.
Got it. Cool. Siddhant, food is a very interesting thing where you can eat food on the street for like 10, 20 rupees and then go to a 5-star hotel and spend thousands of rupees. And you're probably catering to a customer who does both, right? Sometimes we eat samosa on the street. Sometimes we go to some fancy restaurant. How are you thinking about pricing vis-a-vis your product? And what are your learnings so far about the consumers, both willingness and how do they think about sauce and some of these things that you sell to the customer?
So when we started off, as Ishindra was saying, we worked backwards, right? We looked at, okay, boss, itna profit bachna chahiye business mein, then it'll make sense. We weren't VC backed for a long time, right? We were trying to pay for a lot of things, a lot of overhead. We were trying to survive. So initially, those learnings were just to maintain a very high GP, upwards of 80%, which doesn't make sense right now, but back then it did, and we try not to. And what you mentioned here in terms of, like food is available at multiple price points, but why people pay more for certain price points is the experience, right? So this is our initial thought behind pricing, is that we're providing an experience at home, right? So our initial branding was restaurant style Asian food at home. So at a cheaper price point compared to a fine dining restaurant, you could make a great meal at home. And when we started this journey, and again, what Richindra was saying, our TAM was very, like, I'd say 1% tier 1 cities, right? Very small. When you market yourselves the restaurant style quality at home, maybe consumption happens once a month. And in the food category, for me to be a successful brand, consumption has to happen for my product much more often. And then this is where things get interesting, right? Because maybe initially we were doing niche products at a higher price point with higher gross profit, right? And it made sense because there were customers looking for a black bean sauce, and the only other competitor was an international brand priced at 800 rupees. So even if I was at $300, I was undercutting him by more than half, and I saw some great success. But now, when we're going into commoditized products, say noodles, right? And noodles here is a great example. We sell our Hakka noodles at 140 rupees. The same Hakka noodle change is selling for 45 rupees. The only difference is that positioning, the kind of ingredients we use, and the kind of audience that we have earlier interacted with our previous offerings. Now taking it one step further, where I go to mass products, right? The next set of launches I'm doing 20% premium off like larger brands. So if a Maggi is at a 50, we'll be at a 60. And just to build out the TAM and our rule of thumb and a lot of interaction with customers, we come to this conclusion that they're willing to pay a premium if there are few things that they find interesting, right? So what is going on right now is healthy food, right? So something which has, I will not say health benefits, but better ingredients or better produce that another brand uses, right? So all these things now are combining towards a more holistic pricing strategy, where if a product is niche, we keep high gross margins, try to know that we will not be moving volumes, so maybe it is not replicated across our supply, like across our marketplaces as often, but something which is mass, which we're competing with large brands, high TAM, we keep very competitive pricing.
Got it. Yeah, totally makes sense. Now, as we think about pricing, and Siddhant, you obviously said, I guess the part of the equation that all entrepreneurs have to figure out is where do you sort of build unit margin, right? So where do you make money? And then, of course, what scale you can get, then therefore TAM, so that when you multiply the two, you have a business that is sort of large, right? I think in all the sort of use cases, from Jiva to Daily Object to Master Chow, I think we can all agree that you all probably think about your customers not as one transaction sort of value, but like hopefully lifetime value, right? So how can this customer stay with you and buy multiple sauces, multiple things on a daily basis, and then of course jewelry, over months or quarters or years, or whatever your time horizon is. So therefore, you probably look at some sort of a lifetime thought process around a customer. I'm just curious, how do you think about acquisition strategy, right? From a promotion, discount, because you might want to have a customer use your website to buy something for the first time, and you might want to incentivize something just like all e-commerce retailers do, with the hope that they will use your product, they will like it, and then of course they'll buy something else, and then over multiple years they'll buy multiple things, and eventually you make some money. Pankaj, what have you seen work? And I think you have this very interesting background of being in this industry, doing D2C, which obviously did not even exist. The word did not exist 10 years ago. And then, here we are with like Amazon and Flipkart doing all sorts of discounts. How have you worked on getting the customer acquisition, pricing, promotions in the beginning, and then thought about lifetime value?
So there's a couple of things when we like, I want to add before that, when we doing a pricing things, it's very, very important. When you're building a brand and what brand perception, you can't change it later, So what of many brands I have seen in DTC, they start with a lower pricing and you can't go lower to top. You can go top to lower. I mean, you can go a little bit and all. So it's very, very important when then brand perception comes, this product itne ka hai milta hai, you can't then sell on higher prices and all. So one important things when we thinking, कई बार होता है चलो ठीक है पैसा बाद में बढ़ा लेंगे, market capture करते हैं. Second thing is, suppose your price, for example, my product price, it is 30 to 40% cheaper than top brands available. Like the quality is top end. Like if you see any brand, but we keep 30 to 40% cheaper, but higher on what available on Amazon. So I do multiple pricing. Like it's many example you can see. Like when you see any smartphone launch, Apple launch, they are 64 GB, 128 GB, 256 GB. If you see Apple is growing because now it's a very like product everyone want to have. Now you can have iPhone 11 or 12, maybe 30,000, 25,000. How can you try? So I try to do, suppose I'm doing a backpack. So how can I have one entry level, supposing 1,500 rupees, then we have a 2,000 rupees, we have a 3,000, 3,500. And that differentiate as a feature, as a quality, material and all. So which is very, very important. How can customer can try the product first time? And when they try first time, they have a confidence, then they go for the higher. And that's the reason my website, AOV have grown 100% last 2.5 years. Average order value. And that's I try to grow. Second, discount. This helps. Many times customer want to have, they're saying the price is a little high and all. They when you do some kind of a discount or seasonal discounting, they try and want to experience the product. So acquiring a new customer that help. Sometimes discount also help to liquidate your old inventories and all, which stock as a fashion, as a technology and all. And that's how generally like we do. And my one thing was also we trying last couple of years. We want customers when doing a transaction, he pay like counter पे आ गया तो कितना, like we have a chocolate, आप देखोगे mouth freshener, or how can he do maximum transaction how can he pay maximum money? So we try. If you see my website, we try, you get offer on 3,000 rupees or 2,000, 2,500 rupees. That push him to pay more. And eventually, that in first order will be profitable. So this how like many things we keep doing. And regarding performance marketing, like we don't want to be too much dependent on Facebook and Instagram and all. Our major 40 to 45% come from organic, like as a brand, good presence on social, the content, word of mouth. That's how we and more. And same times, how can we experiment with pricing, with launching some kind of exclusive collections? You do, like sometimes like new launches, they come with a different features or something and all. Sometimes you can have a lower pricing also, So it's very real time. It is very, very real time as a seasonal, as a technology, and how you grow. And,
yeah. Totally, Pankaj. Thanks for those insights. We are actually getting very interesting questions. So I'm going to take some of them. And this one is for Ishendra, and I think it's a very interesting question. So the question is, quote unquote, did you ever feel that word of mouth marketing is difficult for Jiva compared to other sort of brands? Because as people wearing fine jewelry people would want to pretend that they, let's say, I guess the question is, let's say I'm wearing something that's looking very cool, looks like gold. I don't want to tell anyone probably that, hey, this is not gold, this is 2,000 rupee or 3,000 rupee price point. And if I tell it's Jiva, then it looks like more fashion jewelry as opposed to real gold. Any thoughts there? I think this is a very interesting question about purely perception.
Yeah. So actually, this is exactly something that we were also sort of thinking of, because we, our position in the market was a fine jewelry, but at a much accessible price range. And we also thought that, when people will wear Jiva, then essentially if someone asks whether it's a real diamond or it's a gold jewelry, Then will they pretend that no, it's not Jiva, it's a gold jewelry or something of that sort. But interestingly, what came out was that when someone essentially asks, oh, this design is beautiful, right? Where have you purchased this from? What people want to tell is more of a, about a brand. So what we heard a lot of women saying is, oh, I bought it from Jiva. Now someone asks, oh, what Jiva is, then they tell, oh, you can get actually silver jewelry at Jiva. And then they offer, so what we have also done is we've also tried to make aspirations associate with our brand. So for example, we call our entire community as Jiva Divas. And then we have Anushka Sharma, who is endorsing our brand. Then we have lifetime replating facility where if I bought a Jiva product, then you can get it replated, etc. And there are multiple other hooks associated with the brand. And then we keep on launching some of these collections which are collaborated with international designers. So with some of these things, we try and create aspirations of the brand for the people, because of which then people are not that much scared or that much receptive in talking about the brand with the consumers. So we initially thought that this will actually act against us, but interestingly, our word of mouth has worked in favor of us, purely because of the amazing designs that our team keeps on launching, the whole brand aspiration piece that we have tried to solve, and that has really helped us in boosting our organic traffic. In fact, right now, more than 30% of our traffic is organic, where people search about Jiva and then they come and visit our website.
Interesting. Wow. Yeah, Ishender, I think this is one of the things that we also hear from a lot of D2C brands is this almost counter positioning type thing across this thing, right? I mean, obviously, there are all sorts of customers in customer base. For example, there are consumers with the same buying power who might prefer, like, let's say, expensive clothes with Gucci written everywhere. And the same person might want to spend a lot of money on a piece of clothing that is high quality, but not have the brand written everywhere. And it's all about, how they express themselves with the brand. And if you can build a brand in a way where, as you said, Ishender, build a community, build a sort of like a very different aspiration with it, which is nothing to do with gold or diamonds and that type of stuff, you have a very interesting niche and people then talk about it in a very different way.
Yeah. And interestingly, if you also understand the entire word of mouth publicity as well, and the way we try to solve this is there are, one is you actually tell your close friends about the brands that you buy.
Yeah.
Then second is you wear a product whose brand name is clearly visible, like Gucci, etc. You have, or Nike, where you can easily figure out just by looking at the product that it is of this brand. And third is you try and flaunt the product, right? You try and explicitly tell to others, so this is the brand that I'm wearing. The best word of mouth publicity is the first and the second one.
Yeah.
The third one is usually what we have seen is very, very few people do that. Usually what you tell is you tell your close knit people, right? You tell your very close friends about products, about brands that you're wearing. And there you actually try and tell them about the products with which you have felt the value for money, right? So for example, I would go and tell my friends, oh, check out this website. Here is the sale going. You can get this piece at this price. You can get a piece at 30% discount. You can get a piece at 20% discount, or you can get a very good price of this particular product, because the recommendations that you want to make to your close-knit family is something where you actually feel the value of the product. So that also essentially helped us, because the pricing was reasonable. The value for money was so great that people were actually recommending their friends, because they were putting their reputation also at stake, right? If someone buys the product, then it has to be good.
Yeah.
So that also helped in word of mouth publicity as well, the value for the product that we were delivering.
Makes sense. That's very interesting. All right, I'll take one more question, which is also pretty interesting, which is, I think, Siddhant, you might be the best person to maybe answer that question or at least have thoughts. The question is from Kapil Singh Rawat, who's asking, please also tell us a bit about subscription-based pricing, right? Now, I think Master Chow obviously is in food. I believe you have meal passes and boxes and so on. Perhaps there is a use case one, hey, I can just put your sauce or something that I know I consume on a regular basis on subscription. Any thoughts about that? Have you thought about subscription-based pricing? or experimented with it? And if yes, what are the learnings?
So the main category we operate is grocery, right? So grocery buying behavior usually starts by the end of the month till the 7th or 8th. So those 10 days need to account around 40% of our revenue. That's how high it goes, especially on grocery apps. So Big Basket and Amazon grocery, that's how large it is. Funnily enough, we don't have subscription on our website, but on Big Basket and on Amazon, you do have an option of subscribe and save. And for commodity items, we see a high number of subscribers. But whereas for niche products or products which are not used frequently in a household, we don't end up seeing subscriptions at all. So hence we haven't replicated this on our website, even though there are some comments regarding us being or us having subscription. But yeah, like our thoughts were still forming it out, so can't dive deeper on it right now.
Got it. Makes sense. I think subscription is a very interesting topic. I think subscriptions, the business model of subscription is very different from individual purchases. One of the hard things in India is the subscription instruments, right? Any credit card, UPI and stuff has too much friction in enabling subscription, which is why I think in India, a lot of entrepreneurs have not been able to truly experiment with subscription so that the experience is frictionless and people still do subscription. By the way, at Simple, we are solving this problem. We believe very strongly with subscription, but that's a separate story. Well, these questions are very interesting. So I'm just, instead of my questions, I just feel like audience has better questions than me. I'm going to use these. The question is from Vikram Ghai, which is, we are facing issues in managing discounts on marketplace and own website, right? If we keep same discount, then customer goes on marketplace. And if we keep more discount on our own website, then user used to get calls from us to keep same discounts, right? Please suggest a strategy to manage this, right? I just want to rephrase that question just a little bit, because I think we hear this at Simple from a lot of D2C entrepreneurs. So obviously, as a brand, you want to own the customer and the customer experience and their lifetime. The problem is today, selling on marketplaces is easy, right? Because people go there and they handle all the complexity of logistics. But the problem with marketplaces is you do not own the customer relationship to the extent that you can own your own website. And the marketplace like an Amazon, Flipkart, Nykaa, etc., would own the relationship. And obviously, you want to keep the customer on your website. And one way to make the customer come to your website is, give the best price possible, right? And as a brand, you have the margins, right? You are owning the margins itself, so you can truly provide the best price. But marketplaces has, they don't want you to make it cheaper, and then sometimes they make it cheaper than you. Pankaj, do you guys sell on marketplaces? And if yes, any thoughts?
Yeah, that's very interesting questions, and we face a lot of time, and I can give little bit tips on this. And our 30% sale come from marketplaces, 70% from my own platform. And like how this account manager in marketplaces, they post, give a discount, aap ye nahi de rahe ho to hum hata denge, like blah blah. It happens many times. They threaten also, like you not giving this and all. Trust me, two things I can give a tips. Sometimes we are in very hurry actually, to get the result and all. I highly recommend keep the pricing and discounts equal on both the things, and just wait for some time. Wait for some time, it will going to happen, give a result. Second, if you want to pull a customer on a website, try to give a discount which they can't give. There's many times there are many discounting rules which they can't give, so try to that, and then say ki aap bhi karo, like sometimes we giving a suppose give you one example. Suppose I selling a one case in 1,000 rupees and say buy two at 1,300 rupees. So my one price case is coming 1,000, but 2 and 13, and customer is buying 2 is 650. But marketplace can apply this rule. Sometimes you're giving a one bag on this discount and all. So there are many tricks where you can do, and then catch them, then you can solve this problem in the real time. What you be able to do, but I say just wait and try to keep the same price. Otherwise, it's going to impact your brand, and customer will be confused.
Yeah, and then Pankaj, any thoughts on keeping the best price on your own website, meaning actually because you want to reward the customer, or maybe having a loyalty reward program, something where
Exactly.
the price is the same, but you want people obviously to come to your website and buy instead of
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You can put this kind like memberships, you can see, which can they, and maybe suppose 10% discount on HDFC card, your banking, or maybe you buy something, we will give this product free, So in this big marketplaces, they can't apply these rules and buy this second product will be this discount. So one product perception is always going to be this. So you're absolutely right. That's the way you can have something which they can't apply. And you're absolutely right. That's this.
Totally makes sense. All right. Another great question. And I think this probably Ishendra would be the right person to answer this. And it's also for Ishendra. So this question is from Shalini, who is the founder of a company called And We Met. It's a sort of like a dating plus marriage sort of app. The first question is, Jiva is part of a crowded market. Yeah. I mean, obviously there are players of all sorts, online and offline, and there are likes of Voila and Carrot Lane, etc. In such a scenario, how do you think about pricing strategy? Because consumer can go to all these things. Of course, there is a product differentiator, I'm sure. But how do you think about pricing as a differentiator, or do you think like that?
Yeah. So actually, if you look at, jewelry market, Shalini is right that it's a very crowded market. Right? There are many junk jewelry players that are there, and then there are gold players like Carrot Lane, Bluestone, etc., which are selling gold jewelries with diamond. But if you look at the metal that is used in a jewelry, so for example, there is this brass, bronze, copper, etc., that is used as a metal in jewelry, and then there are these fine metals, which is gold and silver, which are the noble metals. The reason why gold and silver are called as noble metal is because they do not cause any allergies or infections. So you can wear gold jewelry or silver jewelry for 8 to 10 hours in a day in your ears, nose, neck, etc., without having to worry about it causing any sort of allergies or infections. Whereas some of these metals like brass, bronze, copper, if you wear jewelries made of these, then some of them tend to cause allergies, infections, so they're slightly heavy for your ears, etc. So which is why a lot of women prefer wearing fine metals when they're wearing jewelry for a longer duration. So our thesis behind, using silver as a metal was, number one, it was a fine metal. So you can wear jewelry for longer durations when you're in office, or when you're at home, or when you're, in large, wedding for a longer duration, etc. Because essentially you're spending in office or at home, you're spending at least 6 to 8 hours in a day. So you want to wear a jewelry which also gives you comfort along with the style, right? So that was our first thesis behind starting silver. Second was, what we realized is, because silver is a noble, and a precious metal, you can have a slightly premium price of that over fashion jewelry, and there are so many advantages of silver. But we didn't want to keep price too much different from the junk metal as well, right? From the fashion metals as well. So which is where we decided that we will have a certain, a very limited premium over fashion jewelry, over the brass, bronze, and copper jewelry. But we will have multiple advantages of our product compared to a fashion jewelry, so that someone who is going for a brass, bronze, copper jewelry automatically feels that if I'm paying 30 to 40% higher, then I'm getting a metal who has a value associated with it, and which also has certain benefits over that particular jewelry. So that was mostly our strategy on pricing, that we didn't want to go too off on the pricing, but wanted to have 30 to 40% margins. Sorry, 30 to 40% uplift on the pricing compared to the junk metals. So that was our strategy on the pricing part.
Nitya, just to add here, I just want to, and this actually apply to every category actually, the competition pricing and all, either buying a cars or any category and all. So this two important thing. One, the product differences has to be there, how your product is different from, for example, Ishendra in the Carrot Lane and other brand and all. And its originality also is very, very important. originality, the product differentiation, and most important thing, the building a brand, how you connecting emotions, and the trust with the brand. That is like, otherwise price is never a, you can't solve the pricing thing, I mean, that's applied to each and every category. We also face, like, Amazon is a full of word, like they can buy anything and all, but still, like, the growth on my platform is higher, so it's more same for any category when we pick and all. So the originality, the differentiation, the building brand, the trust, emotions, these things are very, very critical. Otherwise, there's always a price game.
Absolutely. And yeah, as I'm asking the questions, anybody who has insights, please chime in. Yeah. Siddhant, I think there is a very interesting question. So Siddhant, let me ask you, and if anybody else have any insights, let me know. Again, this is from Shalini again, and I think it's a very interesting question. There are certain products that are sometimes it's for someone, but the buying decision is made by someone else. So an example would be, I guess in Shalini's case, matchmaking in India, right? So it may be for the person who's looking to get married, but maybe the parents are the ones who are figuring this out, right? I think this is true for a bunch of things like gifts, which probably applies for Jiva and so on also, right? Any thoughts there, Siddhant, that you might have? Like, there is a customer that your product is for, but the person buying is completely different. And how do you think about positioning, branding, and of course, then figuring out how to sell?
So we're a young brand, right? Even the targeting we do, we're speaking to the youth. But who decides what to cook at home? Still mostly mothers, right? So even though our brand on Facebook and on Instagram is diverted towards young people kind of having some sort of interaction with us, the final buying decision is going to be mom at a grocery store, mom on Big Basket, mom on Amazon, right? So here, what you have to think about is what is essential for the mother, right? The value one is that a young or someone young in the house sees value in Master Chow, goes to the mom and says, "Mom, these are the best noodles. You gotta try them, right?" And hopefully, after a few times, the mother goes and kind of starts purchasing, realizes it's good, and then she is hooked for a few years. Or the second is what we started doing, especially on grocery apps or apps where mothers are actually making final decision. We realize that we have to be slightly more price competitive. So we're releasing products closer to like older guys and their price points. We realize that moms really want to try something new for their children, or we realize that moms really want a healthy option for their children, and we kind of brand it around those hooks. And I would like, my honest suggestion here is that eventually, if you try hard enough to your core TG, which would be say young people, they will start pushing to their parents or someone elder at their house to go try something new. And once that happens, you'll see LTV or some people hook your app or your product for years, and not just like a paid marketing campaign that'll get a high CAC, one purchase and no repeats, right? So that's what me and Vidur are working closely on here at Master Chow.
So I have a point to add here. I've also had some experience on this because our category also is one of the categories where a lot of gifting happens. You essentially buy a product which you then want to gift it to your loved ones. And what we have understood, something which is very important for products where you are buying it for someone else, where someone else is the end user. What is very important for a brand to build in this is the whole experience and the story of the brand, right? Product just happens to be one part. What is very important is the whole story, the packaging, the entire experience of buying, or the entire story behind the brand has to be so powerful that if you're giving it to someone, they automatically feels wow when you're there receiving the product without opening and seeing the actual jewelry, right? In our case. So which is why for us, where a lot of people buy it for gifting and the end user is someone else, we pay a lot of attention in content, in storytelling, in packaging, so that if someone receives a Jiva gift, then the first expression without even opening a box is that they have received a really wow product, or they've received something really powerful. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a great example. They call it the unboxing experience, right? Like how you open your iPhone, it's just like box. Just opening is an experience itself. And I think that brings me. I mean, like there are so many great questions, and I have not gone through my own questions, so I'm sad that we are running close to time. But I think we have time for one more question, and I think I think this is a general enough question that I would love for all of you just to give your view in basically, let's say, 90 seconds. And the question is from Archana Venkat. And the question is, customer experience is closely tied to pricing and total customer lifetime value, right? In the end, customer experience is so important. What are some of the good examples of customer experience that you have recently seen in your in your company? And I just want to add something here. Customer experience has two elements to it, especially in D2C retail, right? One is the product itself, like the jewelry or the food or the object you buy from Daily Object, but also the service experience on the internet experience, right? Like you talked about, Deshendra, the unboxing experience. I'm sure there are examples of returns and how do you build trust. Somebody talked about it, right? Because the reality is we all want people to buy from our website, but the customer is used to sort of an Amazon experience, right? Where it's a combination of so many things. Let's start with Pankaj. What have you seen? Like, what have you done where you feel that there were these things you were able to do to create the wow moment and the customer experience itself?
So it's very, very important questions. And sometimes when D2C brand, we so much focus on only the product. So like maybe you selling any product, maybe you buying even iPhone, but when you go to it, maybe as a late product is not good and all, the experience is not good. Nobody going to remember the product. How? So for this, every touch point of the customer is very, very important. It's not about the product. Every touch point when the product ordered and when received, and if any grievances are there, like as a refunds or returns, that's very, very important. So the focus should be on not only the product and service, which we yes, directly, indirectly, we have a tough competition from Amazon, Amazon or Zomato, and the fast delivery and 10 minutes and all. It's very, very important. You should, things should be the transparent. It's very, very important when building a trust. This product will be delivered 3 days. The features, the product maybe look good in the video and pictures, but actual product is different. So this kind of a trust is very, very important, and that's how we try to do. And we take a lot of feedback. When we launch any product and service and all, if how customer thinking, GP is working fine and all, and then customer feel happy when there's anything they ask, and they have a concern, and we will not say anything, okay, we replace or refund and all. That's and it's a everyday learning, Nitya, like every new product you launch, you come with the new challenges, new expectations and all, new learning.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Ishendra, any thoughts there?
Yeah, so actually that's a very important point, right? Not just your product, but the entire ecosystem of services that you build is very important for the consumers, because that brings repeat. And almost every brand earns money from repeat customers, right? From the first customer, uh, you know, who earns is the Facebooks, the Googles, and all the marketeers of the world, right? Not the brands. Brands earn from the repeat audience. And what we have understood really matters for the consumer in the, to get more repeats is one, right product, but second, building the hooks of, best services around the product. And the way we try and measure our service elements is, we try and measure our NPS at different time points, right? So there is one small survey that comes on the website right at the time of ordering. Then there is NPS that you get when you get the product delivered to you. And then there is one more NPS that you get after 3 months of after 3 months, after you've used the product for 3 months. And there are different areas that we try and check via those NPS. so as to check on our service elements, right? The first one is primarily to check the entire website experience, the entire product recommendation experience, or if they were able to find the right products for them, etc. The second, which you get right after the delivery, what we check is whether the customer support, the delivery experience was good, the packaging was good, the product was same as what you saw on the website, or there was different in the expectations, etc. The third, which we check after 3 months, essentially what we try and check there is, number one, if the product that you're wearing still, is of the same condition at which you bought, the quality is still there. And second is, if you felt the value for the product is there or not, right? That is what we try and check after 3 months, because that's when consumer has used the product for 3 months, and that's when they know, okay, if they've spent 3,000 rupee, then is it actually worth? It was worth spending that 3,000 rupee or not? And with these outputs, we try and figure out what all service elements that we have to add. So, for example, one very recent service element that we added was lifetime replating of products. A very common problem that women faces in all the jewelry is after they wear it on a day-to-day basis for a longer duration, it tends to lose its plating, right? And we heard this from many people, not just for our brand but for other brand also. So then we launched the service that if you're wearing a Jiva product, you can drop it at our store and we'll do plating for you for free for the entire lifetime. Right. And the second thing that we launched was 6 months warranty, because again, we were facing a lot of these experience service issues that after 3 to 4 months, their jewelry, some of the stones were popping out, etc. And they wanted some of these repair services. Right. So, and then we launched lifetime, 6 months warranty for the product. So there are some of these, and there are multiple more service elements that we are working on for our product. But essentially, the way we try and understand is, via NPS from the consumers.
Got it. Thank you, Ishindra. Siddhant, I think we are almost on time. Any comment you have, or you're good? You're on mute. Sorry.
Sorry, I meant Shindra covered all of it. We do pretty much all of what he's saying, and it works well. So just copy what Shindra did. We'll be good.
Perfect. Awesome. Pankaj, Siddhant, Ishindra, and Bushra, thank you for joining us. Thanks for organizing this. And yeah, I look forward to our next session next month. Bushra, over to you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody, for joining. It was a very interesting session, also to learn how varied consumer behaviors for different product categories at different price points. There are lots of queries coming in. To tell our viewers, there's a LinkedIn link on the chat window. Please visit the post, and in the comment section, you can write your queries. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.